last time I made a video, YouTube cut out where I said, hello, my loves. And then I was like, hello, my loves, and my haters too. And the only thing you could hear when you listened to the video was my haters. So, okay. Hello, my loves. It's been a few days since I've made a video, and I want to come on and share with you what is just going on with me and my thoughts on the craziness that's going on in the world. I want to remind you guys, if you have not, check out my Facebook if you're on Facebook. It's called Heather Powers, just my name. And you don't have to friend me, it's public. But I post a lot of very interesting stuff on there, you guys, that I find valuable. And so pretty much that's all I do with my Facebook for the most part, is just share very valuable videos that I feel are important. And so I scour the web for stuff. So, hello, Michael. Michael in the house. Michael 1990. Michael H 1990. All right, so I wanted to continue on with a few things I was telling you last week, and I've totally changed my mind on talking about this on my channel. So if it makes you uncomfortable, I understand. But just so you know, I want to make clear, my daughter has given me full reign power to speak, not for her, but to speak on her about certain things that we both feel it's important to talk about. So I want to make that clear. I don't come on here and talk about my daughter and her life if, without her knowing or without her permission. So she trusts my judgment. So that being said, as y'all know, we're all going through it right now in one way or another, you guys. And it's funny because right before I came on, I'm going to prop this up. Hang on. We're going to do that. So right before I came on, I started having a coughing fit. And I had already had like stuff in my mind I wanted to talk about. And I'm like, Lord, don't you want me to make a live like I felt like he did? And then I was like, oh, it could be Satan. Could it be Satan? So anyhow, here I am, you guys. Lot of, oh my goodness, so much stuff going on with what's going on in the air and what's coming down. And if you haven't checked out my previous video about the silica, check that out. I'm convinced that they are using silica. And I think there's even more stuff about it, because I was thinking about the very strange anomalies in the fires in like California. And I think they had similar anomalies in the fire in Hawaii. Why can't I think of it right now? That's one of my favorite Eagles songs. Oh, Lahaina. Yeah, so very interesting. It could explain many of the anomalies if barium, or not barium, silica. So anyhow, what else did I want to talk about? So as I was telling you guys last week about how I didn't go to court last week with my daughter. Usually I go to support her, but her fiance was going to go with her, and I got really sick that morning. just for a very short time, just long enough to keep me from going to court if I wanted to. And then I felt so much better after that. But what happened, and I told you part of it last video, and I want to reiterate and then give you some more information because this needs to be exposed. Well, before I talk about that, just so you know, my daughter and I, caught her ex-husband's attorney. Now, keep in mind, her ex-husband has drugged my daughter back into court like, I don't know how many times. Probably once a month. She's been in court for the past 3 years. Like, on average. It's always something. And the divorce has been final for a long time. She's never drugged him into court once. So just so that you guys know that, yeah, she's not being one of those people who are like, one of those people. Hey, I can't read your name, honey, because I don't have my bifocals on. But good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Okay, so we had discovered, my daughter and I, in court that her ex-husband's lawyer handed over a fraudulent United States Postal Service green card to the judge as proof of service when my daughter was never served. And so after court, we got access to the card and took it to the post office. Or no, we actually got copies because the clerk had to keep the original that had a fraudulent signature of my daughter's on it, you guys. So we went to the post office, and long story short, y'all, excuse me, I'm much better, you guys. It's just that mucus thing, whatever's getting in the air today. It's the past few days. It's been really bad. A lot of people are complaining about it. Strange. But anyhow, so my daughter reported it to the local police and then to the town where the attorney's office, her ex-husband's attorney's office, is. And the secretary for her ex-husband's attorney admitted that he had done that. Okay. He frauded, like, basically changed numbers, like frauded a certificate of service form, not a receipt, a form, and then forged my daughter's name on that. So I wanted to update you guys on that because I know some of you were wondering like what was going on as far as that. So he has been, I don't know if he was, I guess he was indicted, even though he admitted to it. He was indicted, and my daughter will be contacted when it goes to trial. And who knows what else is going on, like with USPS and all that, y'all. I don't really care. It's all in God's hands. But anyhow, at the last court date, they put my granddaughter on the stand. I didn't go to court. And her ex-husband and his lawyer started making all these wild claims about me. Like I told you last week, my granddaughter, who's like 11, they said that she said that I called her a mother effing retard. And when she was put on the stand by them, which I think is quite disgusting, I mean, haven't they traumatized her enough? She's already had to go through this stuff for 3 years. But anyways, they put her on the stand. My daughter couldn't put a stop to that. And she also said Sorry, you guys. At least it's not staying in my lungs, right? I'm glad I'm coughing. She also said that, and so you understand, they're here like every other week. When my daughter has her time with kids during school, they're here because the bus comes here. And then when there's no school, they're usually with their mom, but whatever. The thing is, every other week, my husband makes a cake or he makes brownies. Like, we always make some big dessert every other week when the kids come. So my granddaughter, who unbeknownst to us was going to show up because my daughter had her that day. Like, I got her on the bus to school. She never said a word about going to court that day and being put on the stand, and she knew. So she was told not to say anything, apparently. That's just my guess. But anyhow, another thing on the stand is it was said that I bribed her with, or that we bribed her with cake and cookies to lie. So my daughter, she's still representing herself pro se, right? Because she ain't about to sell her soul for a lawyer who's going to throw her under the bus like they always do. But so my daughter cross-examining, right? And she didn't want to cross-examine her kids, but they're the ones, her ex-husband and lawyer are the ones that had the kids come to court and get on the stand. So my daughter had no choice. So she questions my granddaughter, and she's like, after my granddaughter says, well, they bribed me with cake and cookies to lie, my daughter's like, well, what was the lie you were supposed to tell? Like, what did they bribe you with? And she looked at her dad and said, what was it? What was the lie? Something like that. I wasn't in the courtroom, so I can't say verbatim. But this is what my daughter told me. And so she looks at her dad and she's like, what was the lie? So my daughter's like, well, was he there? Was he in the car when supposedly your grandma told you to lie? Like, you guys, I hate to say it, but it was a clown show. So guess what the judge does? He takes 4 days every other week, or 8 days total every 4 weeks from her visitation. So I'm just curious what he based that decision on. You know what I'm saying? So anyhow, we're not stressed about it, you guys. God is in control. I'm curious to see when this clown show ends. And one more thing I want to point out. When we were at court, the previous time before this one I just told you about, we were in a room with the district attorney and a social worker. And that week my daughter had her kids. And so my granddaughter was in this room with us. And I was actually shocked that they were going to allow her in that room. I was kind of shocked. Because usually you don't, take kids. But anyways, she was there because, she was with us. And they had subpoenaed her. Okay. So we had no choice but to bring her, because the last thing on earth that I want is to make my grandkids go on the stand to lie or tell the truth or anything. It's traumatizing. But anyhow, so we're in the room, and in front of the DA, I asked my granddaughter, I'm like, do you want to testify? And she looks at me and I'm like, do you want to go in there and talk in front of the judge, in front of them again? And she's like, no. And she kind of curled up her head. And I said, what? I said, yes or no. And she's like, no. And so I feel like I forced the DA's hand, because if he were to make her go on the stand after that, he would have been a piece of crap. And yet, my daughter's ex-husband and his lawyer drug him on the stand last week. We couldn't do anything about it that time. And I think it's really disgusting that the judge is entertaining all this nonsense. They have equal time, but my daughter's the one that's been ordered to pay child support, even though it makes no sense. And so they do have an older daughter that my daughter has no contact with, because she made an affidavit with her father at the beginning of all this that my daughter was abusive, which wasn't true. The truth was, and I know this for a fact, the truth was that my daughter was having major issues with her 13-year-old daughter at the time, because she was getting in bad places on social media, receiving bad things, and it was bad. And my daughter and her husband really got into it. That was kind of the final straw for my daughter, because he didn't want to take the phone. He didn't want to do any disciplinary action, or basically he didn't really care. And so they were fighting about that. But I mean, it's all good. It's the way God meant it to turn out. So my daughter's not a victim. Trust me. She just finally came to that point. But the thing is that she did start going to counseling with her oldest daughter, and the dad pulled her out. So that was the end of that. So anyhow, just wanted to fill you guys in. I know a lot of people are going through stuff. This is my life. I'm allowed to talk about it. It's pissing them off. They brought up my Facebook and my YouTube in court last time when I wasn't there. And it's interesting. What really ticked them off, if you guys remember when I read you that entire, it was like a interrogatory or something like that. And it had like outrageous amount of interrogatories, basically wanting my daughter to agree that she does meth, that she's homeless, all this kind of crazy stuff. There was only like 2 things in the whole thing that were true. 1, she smoked cigarettes, and 2, that she did say nobody can make her work, because nobody can make you work. I mean, if you think about it, nobody can make you work. You can lay on the floor and they can kill you if they are mad at you, but they can't make you work. And so she is guilty. She's guilty of saying that. But regardless, she is current on her child support that she's been paying since the beginning. And so this isn't like complaining because, you know, she's mad because they're coming after her because she's behind and, you know, we're really doing all these bad things. No, it makes no sense. And like I said, at the end of the divorce, I think it was her final divorce hearing, the judge told her that she needs to go to Nashville because they have jobs that pay $19 an hour there. She needs to go to Nashville to get a job. You guys, that's an hour and a half away, right? She only had a GED. Are you kidding me? So then apparently at the last hearing, he told her she needs to work less and spend more time with her kids. And then he takes 8 days away a month. So she's spending less time with her kids. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. So I explained to my granddaughter that we weren't going to make a cake. My husband wasn't going to make a cake this week. But we decided to go ahead and make a cake and get ice cream. But I explained to my granddaughter it's not a bribe for anything. So just so she knows. And yeah, so that's my life, y'all. Crazy. Let me let my cat in. Hang on. And then I've been watching, this was a good episode of Prepper Dog, and he's got good scripture at the end. So we're going to listen to that. Hang on. Gotta let my kitty in. Get in here. Come on. Watching a video. Or making a video. She's so spoiled, you guys. All right. So anyways, I know y'all are going through it. I love you. I am watching for the Lord's return every day, but you guys know my high watch date is always Pentecost. So, but yeah, we only have what? Today is, what is today? The 20th? So we have like 11 days till the end of 2025. And you know what? January 1st, we're going to know if the rapture was going to be 2025. There were a lot of signs and confirmations for me, but I don't know. I think the Lord just wants us to stay excited and keep watching and keep sharing the gospel and support each other through these hard times, because I'm telling you, I mean, it's hard times for people out there. And you know about the concentration camp that Trump, I don't know if Trump directly, but they're building in Utah for homeless people. Like, yeah, history repeats itself. So, all right, you guys, I love you. Trying to get on as much as the Spirit leads me. And I will either see you in the sky or I'll see you next time. Believe on Jesus. Don't be caught dead or alive without him.